And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. It is Mystery Monday. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back to the show New York Times bestselling author Maureen Johnson, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new red hot book out now, 9 Liars. Maureen, welcome back. Tell us about these liars.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be back. And it's 9 Liars time. Nine Liars. It's 9 Liars time with an incredibly autumnal cover, though it is winter. This is 9 Liars, which is a new Stevie Bell standalone mystery novel that takes place in England, and it's an English country house murder mystery in which Stevie investigates the 1995 cold case axe murder of 2 Cambridge University students, part of a theater group, comedy group called The Nine, that were spending their graduation week at a country house called Merriweather, playing a drunken game of hide and seek when 2 of their members did not come back again and were found murdered in the woodshed in the morning. And Stevie has to find out what happened in 1995 and how it impacts the present day, because, of course, in the present day, there is danger.
Well, everybody loves Stevie Bell, and we're so excited to get the scoop on 9 Liars. First, I just want to welcome everyone. So we are going live to 6 destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. It is the right time. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make them a little less painful for you. So if you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Here's the drill. Every Monday I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Maureen about the Stevie Bell. Ask her about these 9 Liars. Ask her about England. Ask her about her writing process. We got a lot to talk about, including those starred reviews. And we're going to get down into the craft and the creativity. First, let's just jump over to comments saying hi. Yay, MJ and Sarah. Happy Mystery Monday. We have a mystery user saying hello. And we have Diane joining us from YouTube saying, good evening, Maureen. Good evening, Sarah. Good evening, Diane. So lovely to see your name pop up again. So I want to kick off, Maureen, first with some of these amazing starred reviews that your book has earned. Congratulations on that. I'm going to pop them up here for us all to read together. So first kicking off with Kirkus, who raves the exploration and importance of friendship adds emotional vulnerability to this book, which has a well-developed sense of place and features the series' signature humor and layered mystery elements, immersive and genre savvy. Congratulations on that. Maureen, you're known for being funny and for being savvy. It's actually really hard to be funny on the page, though, and not be a klutzy dork. So how do you do it?
I have no idea. I mean, I just figured, I'm glad that it comes through. I don't exactly know how to explain it. I mean, it's try to read funny things, figure out how they're funny, just absorb a lot of funniness. Also, that's just how I view life in a lot of ways. So a lot of times that's just how I sound. And it's funny because they used to say you couldn't sell or write funny YA. People they don't like funny. People don't like funny books. It's like, really? Ooh. First I'm hearing of that.
Why do you think they told you that? Who spread this vicious rumor, this lie?
It's not I mean, it was maybe some editorial comment. People always have ideas about what sells or what doesn't sell, but what actually people want are good books. So trying to kind of, well, you know what I mean? If they're just, it's not that you're just trying to chase a trend or the idea of writing a certain way to attempt to sell is it's not going to work. I mean, generally it might, but I don't think in generally it's not going to work.
I agree. Some good questions popping on here. Diane wants to know, how did Stevie manifest in your life? Yeah, tell us the story of you and Stevie.
Diane has the strongest contouring game I've ever seen.
I would like Diane to teach me a makeup class. Diane, are you available?
It's extraordinary. Yeah, I mean, please.
Yeah, teach us your ways.
I wanted to create a detective because I was a mystery reader. I was a detective story reader. I was a detective obsessive. And I wanted to create a young adult detective, but I had to build I basically had to build an environment for her to be in, a world in which a 16-year-old could become a detective. So I made a school for her. I built the circumstances to suit her in order to make a viable 16-year-old detective.
So you just decided out of the blue, I want to write a detective and I must create an
Yes.
environment in which a
Well,
16-year-old girl could be a detective. And that's how
it
she
was
came to be.
it was out of a long lifetime love of detective stories. And the detectives arise from somewhere. You have to have them you usually get their origin story. And then from that point on, they go out into the world and solve cases. So once you've established your detective, you can then just have them be detectives. Like you don't have to explain the concept of Poirot every time, or the
Ooh.
concept of Sherlock, or the concept of Lord Peter, or Harriet Vane, or whatever have you.
Mm.
So I wanted to make her and then send her out in the world to do more cases.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, and I think I'm sensing in you a fellow Nancy Drew girl, a
Yeah.
fellow. Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
And so Stevie's our modern day Nancy.
well, Nancy has a habit of getting her hit on the head a lot. She gets hit on the head constantly in those books. Just always.
Why is that?
She, she must have, I'm serious when I say she must have some sort of actual brain damage, because she gets knocked out fully in almost every book. And I'm like, that is not good at all. Nancy, be careful, wear a helmet.
I never realized that until you said it, and
She
now I'm
she
remembering all the times that Nancy was found unconscious or bound
yeah,
up or or
constantly.
kidnapped. Yeah. Oh my
Constantly
gosh.
knocked out. The ceiling will completely fall on her head. She'll fall down the stairs. She gets conked on the head. Like, it's not good.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a really good point. I never thought about that until
A lot
just
of head
now.
injuries. A lot of head injuries.
We're thinking about it now. Mary, welcome to the conversation. She wants to know, Maureen, how many Stevie Bell books do you have in store for us? I mean, are we looking at a Carolyn Keene 46, 5,600 book? What are we talking here, Maureen?
There's at least 2 more. There are 2 more that have been sketched out, that the plot lines are established, that are ready to, so they're not ready to go because I still have to write them, but that are definitely coming your way. 2 more. So for sure.
But are you thinking longer term than that as well? Like, are you thinking this could be a Carolyn Keene, Nancy Drew kind of situation, or you only let yourself think those two books and then you'll see?
I don't know. They're very intricate mysteries, and the way that Stevie is set up, her particular group of friends, which is so much a part of it, you have to I have to kind of think about what would happen to them once they're separated, but she has a story that continues definitely for 2 more books. Beyond that, I'm not sure, but definitely 2 more books.
Ooh, I'm excited for these next two books. Very cool
I'm
question,
excited.
Mary. Thank you, Maureen. Diana's thanking us for the props on her contour game.
It's a
Let us know if you're
tremendous,
available. She wants to
tremendous.
know, do you have an actress in mind to play Stevie? Yeah, so are you a visual person? Do you picture her as a certain actress?
No. Whenever people ask, like, "What's your dream?" What's funny is that I always say no, but just in the case of this book, and only this book, did I ever picture actors, and that wasn't to play them in any imaginary movie, but the English theatrical Cambridge comedy group, all 9 members, I, for some reason, mapped them onto actual English actors or comedians, so they're the only ones that I have any kind of visual reference for, and I don't know why,
Ooh.
but that's maybe because I know more English actors and comedians than I do anything else. But the thing is, if they do make a TV show or movie of this, the actress that would play her is not someone I know of yet. Like, it's somebody that is only known in casting. That's how it happens, is these things are cast so far back that there's a pool of upcoming talent that you don't even know about
Mm,
yet. But
mm.
whenever people, I don't know, people always say, like, I think everybody's imaginary casting goes to Millie Bobby Brown because Millie Bobby Brown is that one actress who is currently playing a lot of 11 to 18-year-old characters that are
Mm.
so, but I don't really have one in mind. I never really think that way, except apparently for the comedians in this book.
Well, I was happy to see that Suze was very tall. As a tall girl myself, I was like, yay, 6 foot tall Suze, be
She's
tall.
tall. She's real
Yeah,
tall.
I liked that. I liked that. Ooh, okay. Mary wants to know. So you're talking about your cast of characters, your next two books,
Mhm.
this 16-year-old girl detective that you've created. Do you have a plan for what she will be when she grows up?
I mean, no is the
Mm.
short answer. I do not. I know where she kind of gets to up until she is 18, but I don't
Hmm.
know what happens to her exactly beyond that. I know what she would wanna be, but I don't know how she gets there. I don't know how she actually gets into detectiving because I don't think she would do it through official channels.
No. So, is it fair to say that you are since you're waiting to see what she's going to tell you, are you not a plotter then? Are you a pantser? Do you go where Stevie leads you?
Oh, no, I'm very, very much a plotter with these. These are all
Interesting.
very, very carefully plotted. With the mystery, there's really no wiggle room. Like, they have to be very intricately put together.
Mm,
Um, it's not to say that things don't get changed around or revised, but, they have to follow a fairly they have to be carefully done, and, they don't so no, but it's just that for the particular storyline that I've put together for her, I've got it through 2 more books, and so as I have it sketched out now, that's where it ends. If
mm,
she went beyond that, then I would go through a whole other incredibly long phase of planning, and I bet I would actually end up planning, like, the next 4 or 5 years of her life,
mm.
um, and see where she went as and who knows? Like, it could happen. It absolutely could happen.
And how long does it usually take you to, because these are intricately plotted and because you were toggling between two, not only casts of characters, but two different timelines, a 1995 where
Mhm.
the 9, which quickly became the 7,
Yeah.
um, thanks to the two deaths in the woodshed. But you've got a 9 over there, then the 7 in 1995. Then you've got Stevie and the modern day, and you're going back and forth. So I mean, that's a
It's a big
lot to keep
cast.
track of. It's a big
So
cast and intricately plotted, as you said, to keep track of those two timelines. And then when they start to intersect, when Stevie gets to London, and then she's interacting with with them now. So
it's
how
a
long
lot
did
of
it take
people.
you to create that?
They all take about a year. So I find the easiest part always the part that really goes the fastest is usually the backstory ones, the crime itself, and
Ooh.
all of the past chapters usually go a lot faster, even if that requires a lot more research work. The 1930s in Truly Devious took a lot more research than, say, 1995. But it's just that for some reason, it seems to be a lot easier for me to do that.
Mm,
And I often write that backwards because I have to know exactly what happened in the crime. So frequently, I usually start by writing exactly what happened in the crime and a
mm.
rundown of all the events around the crime, and then I kind of move backwards and set up all the scenes that lead up to that.
And because 1995 is at least remembered by me,
And
I'm old
me,
enough to remember 95. Not did the 1930s research take you much longer because that is so much different.
it did take
Yeah.
longer. I mean, I yes is the I mean, everything from finding out what Vermont was like in the 1930s. I bought 1930s road maps off of eBay. I had to figure
Oh
out like
wow.
how you got a telephone up a mountain and how like what kind of resources were available and how many telephone lines could go into a house, and because there's things about telephone lines and wires and how money was transferred and how,
Mm.
so there was a lot more really thinking about how one operated in the 1930s and then taking that all up a mountain and making sure that I could get all my telephones and money and cash and everything up a mountain. And whereas I basically know what was going on in 1995 for the most part.
Right,
It
exactly.
was the same as now with no cell phones and nobody knew anything. So because there was no, imagine nobody knows anything and there's no cell phones. It was sort of like that.
Yeah, I remember it well, and I often wonder back, like, how did I do that? Somehow we
How did I
did.
do without a
S
cell phone?
Sophie Ann joining us from YouTube. She wants to know which detective inspired you the most
Mm.
to write your own detective?
So So many. I love them all. I love so many detectives. I mean, my first fictional crush as a kid, weirdly, was not Poirot, but Poirot's this like like his partner, Hastings. I don't know why. Hastings is not smart, so I don't know why. But then Poirot was my favorite. Turtle Wexler from the Westing game. I was obsessed with Turtle Wexler. I am still obsessed with Turtle Wexler. I love Wexler. I love the Westing game. I was very obsessed with Encyclopedia Brown. Um, but I think maybe the characters that I thought a lot about Harriet Vane from Dorothy L. Sayers, who is Lord Peter Wimsey's partner. So it was kind of a combination of, and of course there's Sherlock. Everybody, but I mean, there's a reason everyone loves Sherlock, but Poirot and Sherlock and Harriet Vane and Turtle Wexler, I think, all in a ball.
That is a good crush list. That's a very good crush list.
And maybe Columbo. There's a lot of good detectives out there.
Oh, Columbo. Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of good
Yes.
detectives.
There's a lot of good detectives. Let's get into some of the craft of it. Right after I remind you guys, the book is out now and it is available from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. So grab your copy now, fam, and you too can immerse yourself in the world of
Right.
Nine
Point the
Liars.
right there is right there. I'm pointing the
It's
right way. There it is.
There it is, Murder by the Book, pointing right at it. So here is the link. No matter where you're watching from, Facebook or YouTube, grab your copy, get your mitts on these Nine Liars, and immerse yourself in the latest Stevie Bell book, so that we can continue the conversation. What you think as you're reading, who done it and why. Meanwhile, while you're ordering, I want to get into some of these other fabulous craft questions. Okay. Oh, hey, Anissa Joy. Welcome to the conversation. She wants to know, did you
Hello.
intend this to be a series from the start?
Yes. I wanted to make the detective and then send her out in other cases. I absolutely wanted this to be a series from the start.
Mm,
I planned out the first three, the truly devious three books that establish her. That was a big hunk of story. So I figured if people committed to meeting her and meeting her friends, they'd already invested three books. Although you should be able to read either The Box in the Woods or Nine Liars, which come later, entirely on their own without having read any of the others. So they are standalone mysteries. But I
mm.
always intended them to be a series. Like always intended there to be more Stevie Bell books.
I love that. Anissa sharing that she's joining us live from South Carolina tonight. Yay. Love
Hello.
that. Love that. Oh, hello. Readers Gotta Read joining us from YouTube, saying like Maddox from the TV show. Exactly. So many great out there. Okay, so let's talk some more about craft. And we've got some really great questions here. So first of all, Diane wants to know, do you have any writing rituals? If so, what are they? Yeah, walk us in.
I don't. And people that do, I'm always very envious of, but because it's my job to write, I feel like I have to write no matter what the circumstances are. So if I'm traveling or if I'm and I got into new habits because of COVID, because
Mhm.
of the lockdown, not leaving my house. I got much I do have an home office. You get to see the bad end of it. The more exciting end of it is that way, but that I look at from my desk, but I point the camera towards the working end of my desk where I actually sit all the time. Um, but it's a real question of, sitting down at the desk and just getting it done. Turning off the internet. I just use a program that kills the internet. But I write each book in a slightly different way because I feel like you have to adapt to circumstance, place, circumstance, timing, and also I feel like every book anybody writes, you each book is written in its own way. Literally,
Mm.
like you develop it's like you build the tools for making the thing that you're making along with making it. So it's like you're building actual hammers and wrenches to build the thing.
Ooh, interesting, interesting. But you don't like brew yourself a cup of coffee in your favorite mug and then sit in
No,
your favorite chair and pet
this
your
chair.
favorite cat. This is
Well,
it. Okay.
I
So
have
you
the
just
one dogs. I just I just sit in my desk, and that's basically it.
and get it done.
Yeah, it really is. It's just because so much of it is just sitting down and getting to it. And then, of course, obviously, the important ritual of avoiding it as much as possible,
Right.
of dodging it, weaving it, saying, "Do I have to go scrub the corner of my bathroom ceiling?" All of those things are obviously very, very important.
Because that can't wait. That's got to be done now.
No, those things cannot wait. You absolutely have to get done right now.
Oh, Reader's Brigade was saying Mannix, not Maddox. I'm sorry about that. Yes, thank you. Mannix, another great detective. Yes. Okay. So Diane would like to know, she said that's really interesting. So how do you plot? So we're talking about your intricate
Mhm.
plotting of these, dual timelines, large casts. Are you working on giant Post-its? Are you on the little Post-its, moving them around, color coding? Are you working in Scrivener, Microsoft Word, a pen and a paper? What's going on over there?
There's a little bit of everything. So I'm checking to see what's sitting behind me. Kind of buried behind me, that's a character board that's on my wall that shows like what which I can't pull out because it shows what happens to all the characters in the next couple of books. But
Ooh.
I have a giant drawer of Post-its, which I just pulled out, all organized by size and color and type. So
Ooh, they're
obviously,
pretty.
if you want the extra stickies, you want the lined ones, the slightly fancier ones, always have a nice array of Post-its close by. There's a lot of Post-its in my life, and um, I start in usually a Word document where I start picking through a couple of ideas, or notebooks. Like there's sort of stuff strewn everywhere until I start to actually get the thread of what I want to do. And I always start from not the who or not the how, but the why of the crime, and then a little bit into the how. I start trying to build those two things first. I kind of start at the center of the story with the crime and build my way out. So I figure out motives and methods. And once I've played with that a bit, I start building the layers around it. And that's when it usually goes into a Word document that I start just kind of playing around with a couple ideas, then into the Scrivener. I write in Scrivener, but there's always a point where uh, the plot gets away from me, which is usually very close to me completing the draft. Where even though I've really sketched it out carefully, the timings aren't quite right, or I don't feel like I completely understand exactly all the timings and the beats. And that's when I take the whole thing into the living room and sit with my engineer husband and rattle. And this usually takes about a week. And I just rattle off information, and he inputs it into Miro, which is a online whiteboard. And we create little online sticky notes, hundreds of them sometimes, and then you can organize them and move them around, and then develop these long timelines of what happens in each of the different plot strains all over the different days of the action. And then I have this giant chart, which I then usually just print out and stick to the wall here.
Wow.
There's a
Thank
lot of
you.
fiddly bits.
Thank you for that for that great question, Diane. And thank you for that very specific and very illustrative answer, because I can literally picture it now. I'm picturing you and your engineer husband generating hundreds of little little.
But I have everything, but sometimes what I realize is that even though I've plotted out exactly all the action, when I've laid it out in story, this book happens over 8 days, 9 days. I realize that the timing of the days is everything's a little off. Like some days are a little too heavy with
Mm,
activity, and it,
mm.
So I have to actually think through exactly, so that I try to develop flow through time, and then if as necessary, kind of compress time, and so I really try to think it through to be like, "Okay, if I got everything in a nice logical order, is there anything I missed?" Because the
Mm,
thing is,
mm.
these have to be solvable, they have to be fair, and to make sure it's like I've written a 425-page word problem, like logic puzzle to be solved, so
Yes, because it is a pet peeve when I get to the end of a book and I don't feel that it's been fair, and I think a lot of readers share that where you're like, "There's no way that
mhm.
that this could have been solved by this human brain because that wasn't that was withheld or for whatever reason." I'm loving this behind the scenes hashtag BTS. Thank you for this, Maureen.
Everything's in there, everything's in there. I don't think there's any information that is, like, beyond knowing. It's not like you have to know something esoteric about train schedules or something. It's all there. Um, it may not it I've hidden it, but I've hidden it as much as possible in plain sight. It's all there. You
Oh
can
my
solve
gosh, I
it.
love it. You're getting lots of thumbs up and love on Facebook, so we know this is resonating. Thank you,
You
everybody.
can solve this. It's solvable.
That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. And then going back to uh possible casting, Diane saying that while Millie may be the it girl at the moment, she doesn't see her for the Stevie role.
Mm.
She said she may eventually, but not yet. Well, Diane, let us know what you think after you read
Yeah.
this one if you haven't already. I'm gonna scroll down to Diane wants to know follow-up question. Do you keep a story Bible for the series just to keep yourself on track?
Yes, and, Harper has also made story Bibles, and
Wow.
so yeah, so yes, I have a story Bible, but I also just double check a lot. There's a lot of, looking up stuff from other books just to make sure that you know and you always and frequently you do get, like, something wrong, and then
Mm.
you kick yourself forever, but I'm like, have I established that Stevie had, 4 chairs in her room at the like, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, does she have even if it doesn't matter, I'm like, how many chairs are in her room? Like, I have to make sure. What color was the sofa? Like, did I make sure it's always consistent?
Right, right, because people do remember.
Like, why is
So
there a different sofa?
all right. So Fiona is saying this is a really nice cover. It is,
Mm.
and it is branded in the same way that you can tell, like, oh yeah, that's his Stevie Bell cover. Are you happy with the cover, Maureen? Did you get to
Oh,
be involved in it?
I am, and I can be effusive about this because it has nothing to do with me. I didn't make it. I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely it's my favorite cover of anything I've ever had. And
Yay.
the more you look at it, because you originally see like the artist did, I think, a genuinely incredible job because you see this swirl of leaves, but then the more you look up, you realize it's this like a twisting spiral staircase and ceiling fixture inside of a mansion. And the idea that
Ooh.
I don't know, and then you see like the reverse image of it on the back. And I just think that they did a genuinely incredible job of the art. And as in all my mysteries, there's internal art as well, which is based on art I created. So
And
there
I
are
wanted to ask you about that because I am a
mhm,
girl who loves me a map of an old
mhm,
fashioned castle, and this map of Merryweather, where
right.
the nine, where the crime happens in 1995, I loved. I took the time to. I mean, I am the dork who will take the time to look up every single location. Like number nine is the is
Mhm.
this, and I will correlate it to the kitchen gardens. These are the herbal gardens. These are the front gardens. I love maps, and I wanted to ask you who drew these and how did they come
Well,
together?
I did them, and then they are my sketches are taken to the artist, but I drew these and I mean, these are artist renderings based of my own drawings. Because the I spent weeks actually
Mm,
doing this
mm.
because it matters. There are clues in here. It matters where things take place and what you can see from where. So I
Yeah.
spent a week alone just with a bunch of architecture software
Oh,
trying to figure out room layouts and how like house layouts, how things actually would have been constructed because I had to put in the things that matter and then I just had to build the rest of the house in a way that made sense. And then the grounds that matters, it matters. Like I always put maps in and they always matter. and I had to study a lot of English country house, agricultural, and
Oh,
garden design, and it's complicated, but this is the mental model of the Merriweather grounds is based on a house called Hidcote in England, and my sister-in-law, who is my husband's English, my family is partially English, so I was able to get a lot of background information from them. My in-laws live in a forest, so a lot of the things about the forest, my walking through the gardens of Hidcote, printing out the flowers, the layouts, the way that different garden areas are stuck together. Um, Also, my husband went to Cambridge, so I made sure that all the Cambridge stuff is correct by really walking through the Cambridge grounds on Google Maps with him a lot and going, okay, now what happens if you go down that way? And what happens if you have a bike? And how long does it take to get from here to there? And where would you live? And I ask a million questions. So I really have to feel like I understand the place, even if they're details that I don't end up using in the story.
ah, I love this. I love this detail because I love maps and I love when
Yeah.
books have a map in front. There's just something so charming and I love going back and looking at the map and imagining myself there. And so I couldn't wait to ask you about the maps. I'm so glad I got the inside scoop. Mary is saying she has loved all of the truly
Thank
devious
you.
books and she's read them all in 1 to 2 days. She can't put them down.
Thank you.
Yay. And now, Mary, you can get this next one. It is out now. I'm going to pop the link in here one more time. Maureen, what do you think the secret is to writing a book that people like Mary can not put down? I mean, you've learned a thing or two. Tell us your secrets.
I have no idea. I just, you know, you. It's very nice. I'm glad to hear that people like it. I don't know. I just try hard.
Well,
I also I spend a lot of time with other writers who are very, and I sort of have a group of people that are very good at thinking about plot and talking you
mm,
through plot. So in particular, one of my good friends is Holly Black, who
mm,
is the author of so many things, but like Cruel Prince and the new Stolen Heir, which is out this week. But she is basically a plot professor, and she will sit down and work out plot beats with you all day and all night long. And so having friends like her, like Cassie Clare, like Robin Wasserman, to really sit down and be like, okay, here's what I'm thinking, or I'm stuck on this point. What am I doing wrong? Or to really sit and make you think about the various beats you've put in. But it's just studying story, like studying the beats of a story. Just story, it's just an applied technique of studying stories and how they
mm,
work.
mm.
Which
I
is
love
not a great answer, but it's really like I feel like you learn writing by writing and reading. Like, whenever people are like, "How do you learn to write?" I'm like, "You read and you write." Like, that's basically
mm,
it. But you just get better and better and more you hone it more and more as the more you read, the more you write, the more you begin to learn about the two of them together. But that's why you don't need
mm,
a license to do it. You really learn by doing.
I love that. Diane wants to know, can you only write at your desk? Do you write in other locations?
I can write all over the place, and, is because I often have to travel a lot, or at least I used to, and now I am again.
Mhm.
So, also during COVID, I had to learn to write in the living room because we had to open up a branch of my husband's work had to come home.
Right.
So, he had to bring home 4 computers and 4 monitors and set up, like, a whole giant video game studio in our he's a video game producer, so and in
Oh,
order to
wow.
and he's on calls all day, so I was in there writing and trying to keep the dog from barking. So I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, now I write in this chair in the living room. Now I write in 2 places in the house." It's very exciting. Um, but no, like, I do a lot of it at my desk because I have a bigger screen here and it's well positioned, but
Hmm.
I can definitely travel and write. Um, I do like a good coffee shop. I haven't done that in a long time because of
Mm.
COVID, and I did
Mm.
it once once in the last 3 years, and I was like, "This is wild. Do you know that you could just go places and they have tables and you buy coffee and then you get to sit there and do other things? It's nuts." So, I have really, maybe like a lot of you, not I am not used to being back out there in the world. It's just
I
not.
am also not ready. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
It's like this is a whole overstimulating world out here. I'm used to being inside where it is quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, good question. How long did it take you to get your first book published? Mary would like to know.
Um, surprisingly quick. I was still
Hmm.
in grad school for writing.
Mm-hmm.
And um so yeah, it was unusually fast. Which isn't to say anything about me. It was just how it happened, but things came together pretty quickly. And it was when I was still in graduate school, but for writing. So I was, well into my 20s.
Interesting, interesting. I want to get to this next bit of praise from Publishers Weekly, which deems the book scintillating, Maureen, a scintillating mystery. Johnson delivers a meticulously crafted fair play mystery, speaking of fair play, that gratifies as a standalone while also forwarding the richly textured characters' arcs. I'm going to take that off so we're not covering our face. A treat for fans for the series. Distinctly written flashbacks to 1995 pepper the present day narrative, creating resonance and investing readers in Stevie's case. Stevie Hughes is white. The supporting cast is intersectionally diverse. A starred review from Publishers Weekly. Congratulations on that one. And I want to pop up this other one from the Honey Pop as well, who raved, now that we've read the 5th novel, we're tempted to buy the rest of the series. We had to admit we had no idea who the killer was until Stevie figured it out. The author gives us just enough information to draw conclusions, and multiple plot twists take us for a spin. Even when we thought we know what to expect, we didn't. You got to love that kind of review. Y'all, we are out of time. I just want to thank you, Maureen, for coming in to give us this scoop, coming back after
Thank
the
you.
Woods a year and a half, now back with 9 Liars. We'd love to have you back when your next already plotted
Next year.
next already plotted Stevie Bell book comes out. Congratulations on all of this amazing praise. Y'all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for all
Thank
your
you.
great questions. And one more time, here is the link. No matter where you're watching from, Facebook or YouTube, grab your copy of 9 Liars and then let us know what you think over in the Facebook group. Here it is. One more time, from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. Mary saying, thank you so much. It's been
Thank
so
you.
great to hear so much about your process. Yeah, I've loved all this behind the scenes and the specificity and learning about it. I feel like I'm going to read the next one with a whole new level of how Maureen pulled the puppet strings. Y'all, that is a wrap on Mystery Monday. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. I will see you next Monday. Have a great week. Thanks again, Maureen. Take care.
Thank you.